Hello, thank you for joining us again on a tax chat. On today's chat, we are looking at 10 over tax, also known as a TOT. If you run a business, sell goods, provide services, or a farm income, then definitely this program is for you. In studio with me is Doris and EMELDAH from Zambia Revenue Authority, who help us understand the topic that we have today, understanding 10 over tax. TOT. For those that are watching us on TV or following us on Facebook or YouTube channel, and you would want to contribute concerning the topic of focus today, you are free to comment any questions that you have. Definitely ZRA will respond to those questions. And if you feel you want to talk to them direct, don't hesitate to call on their toll-free number, which is 4111, and just get to interact with Zambia Revenue Authority. Doris and EMELDAH, good to have you on Tax Chat.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yes. Just to kickstart with our question, our topic of focus today is 10 over tax. We would want to understand, and I'm sure our dear viewers out there wangafuna understand kuti tikama popali 10 over tax, nanga 10 over tax ni chani kuyambilila. Doris.
Okay, so 10 over tax is a simplified tax which is charged on gross sales, or I can say gross income. So 10 over tax is actually charged on what you sell. This is before you remove any expenses. So any expenses that you may have, be it rentals, be it transport costs, be it salaries, everything summed up, all your sales summed up together, and then 10 over tax is charged from that amount.
Kapena kuri banja kungakali bantu banga bamene bali kushangombo bamene sibanga chite understand kuti tamininga chani pameti kali kukamba maybe muri simpler term muchinyanja mungabalondololeko.
So mwamine tinga kambire mu month ngati mwagulisa. Let's say, I'll give an example, maybe mugulisa olo mwinaka grocery store. So mukagulisa yonse yamine muza tenga ija at the end of the month, after magulisa yonse ija yamine muza tenga, then 5% of that amount ndiye yamine tita nati 10 over tax. So not pali profit, but 10 over tax is mukagulisa yonse ija, then manje mubwa mushtapo calculate 5%. So not kutia TI first tichosepo ma expenses, tichosepo renti, first tichosepo ma salaries, but yonse jamkashta collect ma total sales yanu. Then manje tichosapo 5% ndiye mnetita nakuti 10 over tax.
Okay. EMELDAH, 10 over tax is often referred as a simplified tax. Why is it referred as simplified tax?
Okay.
Simplified.
Okay,
tax.
so it's called simplified tax because the way it's designed in such a way that it's easier for the people that are registered for it to comply. So it makes it easy for them to calculate and be compliant. So the way it's been designed, it's so easy. It's very easy, unlike when we compare it maybe to income tax. Yes.
Okay. Maybe mukulondolola Doris, why does the government use 10 over tax?
So the government uses 10 over tax to make it easier for small businesses to join and remain in the tax system. So with 10 over tax, as my colleague EMELDAH has mentioned, it's very easy to calculate. So it encourages small businesses and informal businesses to actually formalize to come on board and register for taxes, because it's very, very easy for them to just calculate 5% of their total sales. Not that they have to start removing anything, any expenses, but to just calculate it as a whole amount from their total sales. And it makes tax compliance easier for new and growing businesses. It also helps to broaden the tax base without placing a heavy burden on taxpayers.
Nanga maybe kufunza futhi pali question. Nanga mamaziva banje oko kala ensure that my businesses yamabwela on board and mamashita remit kuli turnover tax mamaziva banje.
So tilina system titana kuti tax online. So ngati mwabwera ku Zambia Revenue Authority mwachita register for turnover tax pa system patu taking a note of effective date of registration, that is EDR. And then from that date, it means account yanu ili active. So from that time, we'll be able to monitor and see ngati mushita file ma returns. Mufunika mushita file ma returns. Mufunika ngati mwapangako ndalama ili yonse mulipira ku Zambia Revenue Authority. So a Zambia Revenue Authority tiwona pa system patu kuti aba bantu banashita register pa date ya so na so. And so from this date going forward, tishta expect kuti before the deadline, which is 14th of the following month, mufunika mwashita file ma returns, mwalipira nolipira.
Apata kambako tashita understand kuti turnover tax ni chani manja pa I'm sure na my viewers ngafuna kuziba kuti bamene bashita qualify kudi kushita register for turnover tax muno mu Zambia ni babwanji ngati londololeko EMELDAH.
Okay, so turnover tax, like we have said, it's been simplified mainly because it's for the emerging businesses, those that are still growing, and the smaller ones. So for those that are supposed to be on turnover tax, so abalingilo kuba pali turnover tax, nibali abakweba timuli 1 year yonse from mkwamba na mpoye ilisa mkushanga tuwabika pamu impia bapangile in that year, let's say 2025 from January to December, nga tuwabika pamu impia sho bapangile, as long as shile mpia shili less than 5 million bafilo kuwa pali turnover tax. So from 0 to below 5 million bafilo kushita register for turnover tax. Then bambina bena bafilo kuwa pali turnover tax kwa libama companies ayatayo eo lot ayachita exclude from being on turnover tax. Ngabali abalimu mining, apart from those carrying out on artisan and small scale mining, nabali abalimu ma partnerships, those are the ones that are, so anyone that is not excluded by law should be on turnover tax. And then also we are saying, like I think Doris has emphasized, turnover tax, when we speak of turnover tax, we're speaking of gross sales. So it's all your sales. We're not removing the expenses at that particular time. For this particular tax, we are not removing the expenses. It's everything. And then we calculate 5% on that amount.
Okay. Takamba papali ma qualifications na what turnover tax maybe mkushita find out who is not eligible for this turnover tax, Doris.
So there are certain businesses that are not eligible for turnover tax, regardless of the fact that their annual turnover could be below 5 million. And this is because of the nature of their businesses. So businesses such as partnerships, businesses such as those that are into consultancy and management, businesses that are into mining operations, those businesses are not eligible to be on turnover tax. So for those ones, regardless of their turnover, they need to be on income tax. Yes. So in addition, turnover tax also does not apply to certain types of income that are subject to final withholding tax. And these are things like bank interests earned by individuals, that is not subject to turnover tax, and also dividends, interest on government bonds, treasury bills for charitable or exempt persons, payments that are made to non-resident contractors, as well as royalties that are paid to non-residents. So for partnerships, you would say, but our business is small. You know, maybe me and my friend or my sister, we've decided to go on, to form a partnership, so to say. But for partnerships, one thing that needs to be noted is that a partnership in itself is considered to be a separate entity. So even as you do your registration with Zambia Revenue Authority, your partnership is going to have a separate taxpayer identification number, which will be separate from the taxpayer identification numbers of the individual partners. So this means that the partnership carries on the business and not the individual partners themselves. So in terms of administering taxes, Zambia Revenue Authority actually taxes the profits of the partners as individuals.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about probably my qualifications. Maybe nanga kuliba javan my businesses yamene siyachita qualify kuli turnover tax. Which tax do they qualify?
So for businesses that do not qualify to be on turnover tax, the alternative tax type that they will be on is income tax. So these businesses such as partnerships, those that are into mining operations, of course except artisanal and small-scale miners, and also those that are into consultancy and management, those, because of the nature of their business, they qualify to be on income tax.
Now let's answer the big questions. We've talked about the qualifications. How much turnover tax do you pay?
Okay. Okay. Yes, that's also an important question. And so in terms of how much you pay, is turnover tax is charged at 5%. So that's 5% of your gross earnings. And in the way it's charged, it's designed in such a way that there is a relief component that is provided to taxpayers. So for those that are registered, for those that are on it, the relief that is there is that in the year, the total amount that you make, that is the 30,000 component of that amount that you make is taxed at 0%. That is 2,500 per month, because we account for turnover tax monthly. So it means that every month when you make your sales, if maybe your sales were 5,000, we're saying the first 2,500 would be taxed at 0, and the 2,500 will now be taxed at 5%. Yes.
Are there any provisions for businesses that operate at a loss but at a high turnover tax? Are there any provisions?
No. So it's on gross. It's on gross before you take away the losses and everything. Before we even get to the losses, we are saying turnover tax is charged on your gross sales, your turnover gross sales amount.
Okay.
Yes.
Who do you file turnover tax returns, Doris?
Okay, so the turnover tax return is due the following month, and the deadline is the 14th of the following month. So I'll give an example. Let's say the month of January 2026 has come to an end. So the deadline for filing that turnover tax return will be 14th of February 2026. So we wait for the month to come to an end, and then you can declare what you made in that particular month in the following month. You're given 14 days in which to do that. So the return can be filed any date from the 1st to the 14th as the last day in which to file your return. In this case, January 2026.
Okay. In case you have just joined us, you are watching Tax Chat with Zambia Revenue Authority, and today we are looking at understanding turnover tax, and helping us look at that is Doris and EMELDAH from Zambia Revenue Authority. Those that are following us on Facebook or YouTube and you would love to contribute concerning the topic of focus that we have today, you are free to send in your comments and definitely will respond to you. Or better still, you can call using the toll-free line 4111 and you'll be given that answer. For now, we go on a short break. We'll be right back. Don't change the channel.
Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Welcome back. You are watching Tax Chat. Today we are looking at turnover tax, and helping us look at that is Doris and EMELDAH. To continue, EMELDAH and Doris, definitely in terms of my payments, yamankala due date. Maybe EMELDAH.
Okay, so the payments for turnover tax, yamankala or yaba due, like Doris said, on or before the 14th. So, ngamwachitafe file return, whichever day, we can say, let's say for, maybe you want to, ngamlefo kuchita file return yam January. So, return yam January, mfulo kuchita file, starting 1 February to the 14th. So pali ine ishtapakata hapa. Ngamwachitafe file, mwadipila no kulipila, but payment is due on or before the 14th. So the 14th is the last day that we have given. So we've given so that we haven't just put one date, we're saying on or before. So any time between. But the moment you file the return, you are supposed to make the payment that is coming with that return, if at all there is any payment that needs to be made. But the date is by the 14th. The payment should be made to Zambia Revenue Authority.
Okay. Doris, can a taxpayer who is registered for turnover tax register for VAT as well?
Yes, actually. So a taxpayer who is registered for turnover tax can also register for value added tax, as long as they meet the requirements. So for value added tax, we have two types. There is statutory VAT, which is mandatory, and then there is also voluntary VAT. So the difference between the two is that with statutory VAT, if your annual turnover exceeds 800,000 kwacha, meaning that muye ngati mupitirira 800,000 kwacha kundalama zamini mutenga mu business mwanu, then by law mufuni koshita register for value added tax. And then for voluntary VAT, kumapezeka sometimes that bantu bamne mudiringana nabo bafuna kuti munkalipa VAT because bafuna bazishita claim input VAT. So bakubuzana ati mufunika mulipa pa VAT. As long as mu kwanisa kuchita exceed 400,000 kwacha in a year, then it means mungashite apply for voluntary VAT. So the difference is in the threshold. Voluntary VAT, you should be able to exceed at least 400,000 kwacha in a year. And then with statutory VAT, by law, if you exceed 800,000 kwacha, then you should be on value added tax. So even if you are registered for turnover tax, yes, you can be on VAT as well.
Okay. Just in line with that, Doris, if a business is registered for VAT, can it also switch to turnover tax?
So in line with that, Alice, what we are saying is that you can actually have two tax types. You will actually have two tax types on your TPIN. That is, you will have turnover tax and you will have value added tax. So remember, with value added tax, you are simply collecting on behalf of the government. So you add 16% to your standard rated goods, and that amount is what you collect on behalf of the government. So with value added tax, we are actually not touching your income. We get to touch your income on turnover tax. So with turnover tax, we are actually now taxing your income, your money. But with value added tax, what we are taxing is what is being collected from the consumers on standard rated supplies.
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned that compliance means meeting obligation on time. Are there any penalties for late compliance, Imelda?
Okay. Yes, there is. Like ngefe nachilanda kwebatse twalikwata between 1st and 14th to file. So after that period ends, ngamwaisachita file return afterwards, there are penalties. So there's a penalty for late return filing, which is 250 penalty units per month or part thereof. And so a penalty unit is 14 ngwe. So what we are saying is that per month that is 100 kwacha. So when you file your return late, they will charge a penalty of 100 kwacha per month. And then also the payment, in a case where you file a return and there's a liability that you need to pay the tax amount that you're supposed to pay, the tax that is due to ZRA. And if you do not pay after when you file the return, you come and pay it later on instead of on or before the 14th, we will charge 0.5% on the amount on the tax that is due. And then we're also going to charge interest on that amount as well at the Bank of Zambia rate plus a 2% that will be put there.
Okay. We all hear withholding tax. We want to understand. Kuti withholding tax ni chani?
So Alice, what we are talking about is actually withholding turnover tax. Yes, withholding turnover tax. So withholding turnover tax is a mechanism in which the Commissioner General may actually appoint a person or an agent to withhold turnover tax, okay, before making payment for goods or services. So this is in an event where it may be difficult to forward or pay taxes once payments are received. So the Commissioner General may actually appoint a person or an agent to withhold turnover tax and then pay that to Zambia Revenue Authority, meaning that what you will receive is just the net amount less turnover tax.
What happens if the taxpayer registered for turnover tax notices that the income will be more than 5 million during the year? What is expected of them?
Okay, so as we are growing as businesses and tuamona maybe from January we get to maybe mid-year June, we notice that income yes na ya ile kulama sales na achita increase, we are getting more. We advise that you let us know to say your income is exceeding 5 million, but in that moment you continue mufilo kushita continue kuwapa turnover tax, because you can only switch from turnover tax to income tax at the beginning of the year. So between now and when we get to next year, the beginning of 2027, for instance, you're supposed to continue accounting for your turnover tax. Yes, and we'll switch you to income tax after putting into consideration all the matters and after looking at your declarations in the past year and determining that you qualify to be on income tax. Yes.
Nanga business ikaleka kuchita operating banga chite bwanji.
Okay, so business ngati yaleka kuchita operate mufuniko chita notify Zambia Revenue Authority, so you can put that in writing to inform the Zambia Revenue Authority that your business is no longer operational. And on top of that, what you need to do is to ensure that you go to CHRWA. Mwenda ku CHRWA kwa nimna yambirira kuja kushita register, mwachita deregister business yanu, mukashita deregister business yanu wakupasani cessation certificate. Ndiye certificate yanne kamba kuti iyi business manje yavaliwa. So iyo certificate manje ku Zambia Revenue Authority through our tax portal mushta login and mushta apply for deregistration of your accounts, in this case your turnover tax account, and then mushta kuna attach CHRWA certificate of cessation to show kuti business inavaliwa. And then for us as Zambia Revenue Authority kuti vale ja turnover tax account yanu tifuniko making sure kuti palibe nkongole ili yonse na ma returns yonse ya mne mwenzo funiko filinga muna filinga, and then die permitting vale manje tax account yanu. So it's very important to ensure that mwavala tax account. Don't leave it open because it will start accumulating penalties.
Nanga ma forms ya mnyama using some taxpayers filing my returns and make payments for taxes near bunch.
Okay, so ngaba ZRA twalichita provide ama platforms about 3 eyo ama taxpayers benga bonfya to file returns. So the first one is they can log into their account, which is the tax online, using the web portal. They can go on www.zra.org.zm and then they log into their account. And I think what we need to emphasize here is the importance of our taxpayers having the correct details on their accounts, on their TPIN. So for this to be done, we're making sure that pali TPIN yabo, pali TPIN yenu ngaba alisinga mwalikwata business mwalitana register for any tax type, not just turnover. For you to access your account, you need to make sure that pali phone number yenu eyo mule bonfya, palina email. Pantunga mwalanda timuchite login, muchite file return, twala mi tumina ka one time password pa phone, ero mwalabika to log in so that we know that you are the owner that is accessing the account. So that's one way. The other way is they can do it on tax on app. Bachita balaba kwata ma smartphones, bachita download app, tax on app. Bachita login na password ila ine bachita login pa portal. Bachita login, bachita file. Then the other one is tax on phone, which is the USSD one. For they can use *858# and follow the prompt to file the return.
Okay. Your concluding remarks, Doris, on turnover tax.
Okay, so turnover tax is designed to help small businesses grow without complicated tax rules. So you basically just need to ensure that you register, you file your returns on time, and you also pay for your taxes on time. And would also like to urge the general public to help government to secure its much needed revenue for all the projects that the government has in place. And you can do this by ensuring that you demand for a smart invoice whenever you purchase goods or you access any services. Together we can promote fairness, accountability, and national development. If you would like to reach the Zambia Revenue Authority, you can always write to us on our email address, which is advice@zra.org.zm, or you can call us on our toll-free line, which is 4111, and you can also visit our website, which is www.zra.org.zm.
Well, Doris and Imelda, it's been a pleasure having you on Tax Chat.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, we've come to the end of the show. I believe you now understand what a turnover tax is. Don't forget to tune in again next week as we bring to you another topic, same time, same place. Remember, it's my tax, your tax, our destiny.